Welcome to the port city of Saintes, France. We docked here on our Viking Sea cruise. The excursion we chose for this day was to see the medieval fortified town of Carcassonne. This was an 8-hour tour, which started with an hour and a half bus ride to the medieval town. But the journey getting there was a large part of the excursion. Along the way, providing you didn't sleep, you got to see the 15th century St. Nazaire Cathedral, also the Narbonne Cathedral, built in the 1200s and never finished. You got to see a typical French hillside village. Also in Narbonne, you got to see the Shields of Cather Knights, which is a monumental cement structure created in 1980. We also saw the St. Martin de Toux castle, high up on the hillside on the left side of the bus. We were very much in the rural area, and we saw some old mills. Later, on the right side, we saw St. Martin's Church of Capendu and the bell tower, as well as a clock tower in another small French town. We finally reached the medieval city. The bus dropped us off, and we walked up to the main gate at the outer wall. We got to see the massive outer wall stone construction. Once inside the outer wall, you were greeted by Donna Carcassonne, who proudly proclaims this place as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. As you proceed deeper past the main entrance, you see the Murder Gate entrance into the city. The Virgin Mary is in a niche above the Murder Gate and watches over everyone entering the city. Instead of going through the Murder Gate, we turned right and headed between the inner and outer walls. Carcassonne is very proud of having an inner wall, an outer wall for the city, and a third wall for the castle. This walk between the walls gave us a great view of the massive wall construction. We learned that this was never a moat. This was an area that they could grow food and keep their animals safely. We entered the city on a side entrance. This was a good choice by the guide, since it kept us away from the touristy shopping area and made the experience more like a medieval town. The guide picked a path to give us the feel of what a medieval town would feel like. The stone walls and narrow passages gave us a very old feeling. One of the things that the guide stressed was that the walled city had different areas. One area was the main living area for the townspeople. The other was the church area. Then there was the castle that had its own wall, so it was highly defended. The castle did have a moat, and with one entryway across a bridge into the castle. Unfortunately, Viking did not pay for tickets for us to get into the castle, so we did not see the inside or get a chance to walk the walls. Even though we could not walk on the walls, we did have access to some high spots that gave us a good view of the new Carcassonne. Moving away from the castle, we headed off to see the church. Along the way, we got to see more of the grand stonework and massive walls. We also got to see some of the old shops and walk the passageways. We finally got to the plaza with the basilica. The church was originally built in the 11th century in the Romanesque style, but when Carcassonne became a French royal possession in the 13th century, a lot of the church was torn down, except for the nave, which was kept to save money, and then rebuilt in the Gothic style. Thus, this church provides a unique opportunity for comparison of the two styles. The church is famous for its stained glass windows. These are teaching windows, so even though the townspeople could not read, they could come to church and learn about Christianity from the windows themselves. The rose stained glass window that you saw from the outside is beautifully shown on the inside. The church also features some nice statues and a beautiful pulpit. After seeing the church, we headed off to a prepared sit-down lunch, and then we had free time. We got to re-explore some areas and then explore the more touristy shopping areas. The city also has a recreated village area where they have medieval armor and tents to give you an idea of what everyday medieval life was like.
As free time ended, we headed back to the bus. We got our last look at the city walls with the barracks up high above the entrance. We also got a chance to go through the murder gate, seeing the massive stone walls and the opening up top where they would pour the boiling oil if they didn't like your looks. Once safely through the murder gate, we exited through the outer wall and went to the cemetery. This was an excellent opportunity for a rare sight, to see grave markers with a castle in the background. Stupendous.
It was a long 8 hours, but it was well worth it. We did not get a chance to see much of Sinte, but from the boat we were able to see across the harbor to the beautiful town as lights were coming on. Then as we sailed out of the harbor, we got to see a great moonrise over the ocean.